1 in every 8 financial statements from accelerated filers that have already gone through, in some cases, 3 full cycles of Sarbanes, endured all of the costs of Sarbanes, are still producing unreliable financial statements. And I often use the analogy, would you fly an airline that crashed 1 out of every 8 flights? Misapplication of GAAP is a shared responsibility between the senior executives in the finance function as well as their auditors. And so if we agree that the number one risk to reliable financial statements, non-sinister in the sense that we're not talking about fraudulent situations, is misapplication of GAAP, the primary controls that should be examined is the hiring and the ongoing professional certification of the key members in the finance function that prepare the financial statements. So rather than flowcharting and testing controls way down in the bowels of the organization, which statistically from a risk management perspective is almost never the root cause of materially wrong financial statements, you would dedicate your resources more proportionately to the true risks. Another key risk area, for example, is earnings management. Well, earnings management is predominantly an ethics issue. So again, rather than flowcharting the payroll cycle, if the number one risk is that senior executives' pay systems have incentivized them to the point where they've lost sight of where legitimate earnings management ends and where illegal earnings management begins, and those are central issues in some of the major cases right now, Fannie Mae, Nortel, many of the very large disasters are around that issue. So if we agree that a major risk is earnings management, we would then say, okay, that's a statistically significant risk. Let's specifically identify what it is the organization has that will prevent that, and let's make sure we put a lot of resources, both from management's assessment cycle as well as auditors, on analysis of that. There seems to be a shyness about talking about bluntly and candidly about earnings management, which is one of the number one problems that led to Sarbanes. And those people that say that Sarbanes was addressing something that was just a few bad apples, it's just not true. Earnings management was a problem that had gotten significantly out of control. And it wasn't a few bad apples, it was thousands of companies that were pushing the envelope in terms of their earnings management techniques. Some of the simple techniques are just take 5 years of audit adjustments and see how many of those audit adjustments fall into the category of earnings management attempts. It's not difficult. You know, there would be cases where you can see clear trends. You need to calculate the cliff proximity tolerance index of both management and auditors. What that index is how close to the edge are they pushing the application of GAAP and the way they're interpreting. And when you see a management team that there is clear and conscious evidence that one period they see a certain set of facts a certain way, and then because the motivators change in the next period, all of a sudden their view of how GAAP should be done is radically different, it's not hard to see that they're pushing what I call the cliff proximity tolerance index.